We present value that it's been accepted. There's plenty of cases, Cohen versus Cohen, plenty of cases in Tennessee that says you can do that. So we present value it back to date of divorce. All right. The reason I wanted to show you this is for under civil service employees, civilian employees of the government, of the military, they have these plans that are very different. The SIRS and the FERS. Okay, the SIRS, the CSRS, was much more exclusive, and it was a much better deal for the employee. And then in the mid-'80s, after Reagan got elected, they changed all that. I think it was about '86. They changed that, and it's a much less lucrative retirement plan now. And I wanted to show this to you because I calculated the husband's. It's based on the high 3 years of salary, and a lot of pension plans do it that way. They get your high 3, they call it, or high 5, and then they apply some percentage to it, and then divide it by 12, and that's your monthly payment for life. Federal government does it the same way. The husband's monthly payment was going to be $707. His Social Security at the time of divorce was estimated to be $1,053. So in order to compare apples to apples with the wife's plan, which she didn't get Social Security, but because of that, she got a much greater pension per month, we had to incorporate it into Social Security in order to give an apples to apples comparison. And once I present valued it, I got down to where the husband's was worth $282,000 and the wife's was worth $489 at date of divorce. Much more exclusive, and why they didn't do it back in 2005, I don't know, because they didn't have somebody explaining to them, this is what we should do. But what I want to point out to you, that's the husband's, here's the wife's. Here's a typical form you might get in from the government or from International Paper or FedEx. FedEx has a whole bunch of these. You've probably all seen a FedEx. This is where they actually calculate what the pension is going to be as of a particular date. And you get that all the time. You say, okay, FedEx, they're getting divorced on April 21st of 2005. Give me your closest estimate as of today what that monthly pension is going to be once they retire. They're not eligible to retire now because he's only 50-something years old. He's going to have to wait until he's 62 or whatever. But tell me, if he could start collecting on it, if he were to start collecting, tell me what that is. Okay? So the reason I wanted to show this to you is I wanted to, the husbands and wife both look the same, but they're very different. This particular one, you can barely see it in the upper right corner, was printed on July 13th of 2009. That's when they thought they were first going to go back to court back in 2009 to actually get this resolved post-divorce. But something happened, it didn't occur, so here we are a year and a half later now. So this is all we had. This is all the information that I had on husband. Was something that was printed on July 13th of 2009. But the as-of date, that's what's important. The salary, they've calculated as of 4/21/05. So this is good information for me to use to calculate the 2005 pension. The wife's, on the other hand, this is still husband. The wife's, on the other hand, before I get to wife, you'll note that back in 2005, the government estimated his pension to be $1,040. If you remember from my page earlier, I said he was only going to get $700 a month. And there's a difference because with these government plans, they often will give you credit, or they will take away credit for military time and military service. Well, in this particular calculation, they had given him back credit for he had to buy back credit. He had to actually pay money post-divorce to buy back that time while he was in the military to put it onto his monthly pension. Now, because he paid with that with post-divorce money, I said, well, I wouldn't think that. I would think that's his separate property. That shouldn't be included in a pre-divorce calculation, which is what we're doing. So I would tell you, don't just take these things on their surface when they're given to you, because they can be extremely complicated. In fact, this is the husband's. He was given 21 years of service as of April 21/05. 5 years of that was military and some other things that he had to buy back. So really, he only had 17 years worth of calculation. That's why my number was lower. Fortunately, this guy knew all this stuff, and he could tell me what to look for. I mean, it's complicated, but he's told me what to look for. But I could quantify that into a number. This is wife's high 5 or high 3 salary. This was printed on March 12th of 2004. Looks exactly like the husband's. It's a different plan, but this was printed 5 years earlier. But it's as of September 30, 04. So these are pretty good numbers for me to use. It's the as of date that I'm interested in. And in fact, 2608, that's the number number close to that's what I ended up using for a wife to calculate their pension. And these government pensions, or any pension, has some sort of usually has some sort of deduction from it. And in this case, you'll see that they've estimated that her at retirement she's going to. It's not at retirement, and this is also important. It's as of the date of divorce. This is how much the payment is worth. Make sure that when you get one of these pension benefit estimate statements that it is not as of the date of retirement. A lot of these things will maybe misunderstand what you're asking, and they will project what your monthly payment is going to be once you do retire at age 65 or whatever. We don't want that number. What we want is how much have you accrued as of date of divorce, because as we know, that's how we have to value the assets or as of date of divorce. Any time that they accrue post-divorce should not be added on to this estimate. So make sure, if you don't take anything away from this, other than make sure that when you order one of these pension benefit estimates, that you make sure it's as of what time they've accrued or benefits they've accrued as of today, not as of actual date of divorce.
An argument could be made on that if he was in the military at the time they were married, and he's going to get the benefit of an additional $300 if he participates, it would seem to me that if she participated and put in her share, that she should be entitled to part of that income.
Well, I would agree with that. But this particular case, it was pre-marriage. I guess he was in Vietnam. He was in the 70s or early 70s. So he actually had a couple of years worth. What happened, and it was kind of complicated, but and some pensions allow this. He thought he was going to have to get out of the plan back in the 80s. So he purchased, or rather, at that time he got cashed out, but these government pensions allowed him to buy back those 5 years that he had been distributed. He was only in the military 2 years, so he had been distributed 2 years of military and 3 years of other time. The 3 years of other time was during the marriage. Okay, so maybe you could argue wife could possibly get that, but he buys it back after they got divorced, like in 06. He actually spent the money to buy back that time, so that's separate money.
No, he bought it back, just for argument's sake.
Right.
People play with these things all day. But if he was in the marriage at the time that he's buying back this particular time, she would, seem to me, would have a right to participate, even if she may contribute part of it, of the alimony or the money that he put in to get it. She should be entitled to it because at the time that he's buying back this time, he was married during that period.
Well, right, but the 5 years, they actually got a distribution. He actually got cash money, and then they spent it while they were married. So that, yeah, but you're right. I mean, that is an exact. You're right. Those are some of the variables that you have to consider. This particular fact was the facts were that way. All right. Now, just a couple of other things that I hope you don't get tripped up on. I want to show you, just point out a couple of unusual items. We're on page 15. We're talking about retirement type money again. This is from an actual case. Lawyers say, look, I got 5, 6, 7 different accounts. I don't know what to do with them, Rob. Just tell me what they're worth. I can't read these statements. What you got here is a typical, it's an interim type statement that I think it was dated January 5th of 2011. I guess they called up MFS and said, hey, I need a statement. Or maybe this is the December statement of 2010. I don't know. But what you have here is you don't have dollar values on here. This is a particular, this is I redacted the name, but it's like the Jones Smith IRA. The Jones Smith Associates Simple Plan is what it said. What you have here is total number of shares that they own right here, 95.37 shares. Those are not, it's not worth $95. Those are 95 shares that are worth $23.57 per share. So you're going to have to do the math. It's 95 times 23. That's the value of this account. So just be careful when you get one of these in that doesn't look like it has dollar amounts on it. It just has shares on it. You're going to have to do a little math. And that's okay. This next one is the same way. This is a separate plan. It's also at MFS. It came on the same statement. Another IRA plan. Same deal. Total number of shares owned, multiply it times price per share. It's a different mutual fund, or it's in different funds, and that's why it has a different price per share and different shares and all. Then this one is on the same case, American Funds, December 31, 2010. This one does have dollar amounts on it, and it has share amounts on it. So what you're looking at here is, and this is typical, I say these all the time, value on December 31/09. This is how much they put into the plan. This is how much dividends they got. This is how much they took out during the year. That $10 is probably some kind of a fee. The change in investment value, the stocks went up during the year, thank goodness. And here's the dollar value. It's got a little dollar sign next to it. You're probably going to find a dollar sign next to it. And so all four of these mutual funds are in one IRA account. So this IRA is worth $19,107. I see some attorneys get confused and try to say, I got a $19,000 IRA that was on some other statement, and I got four mutual funds as well. Or four mutual funds. That's a double dip, obviously. So be careful to identify, if you're going to start identifying individual mutual funds like that, make sure that it's not into some large account that you're going to count as the IRA balance somewhere else. Here's another one. This is not the same client, I don't believe, but this is came in from the state of Tennessee. This guy, I think the person worked in the district attorney's office. They had a 401k and a 457 plan. Those are just IRS code sections, 401k and 457. That's where all that stuff comes from, IRS. This has a dollar amount. It has a balance. It has cash money somewhere. This is a 457 plan. This is the TCRS. I talked about those earlier, Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System. This is a teacher's plan. Actually, I think this is actually the district attorney plan, but it's somehow, it's a government plan. What they did was they gave us, as of date of divorce, this is dated October of 2010, as of date of divorce, this person had accrued $179 worth of pension benefits as of date of divorce. So they didn't project it till 40 years down the road, because this person was only 20-something years old. They didn't project it 40 years down the road that, oh, we think you'll get this when you retire if your circumstance continues on in the same way. That's definitely what you don't want. You want the as of today benefit estimate. And I don't have time for it, but I was going to go into, I had a sample here on a business valuation report. Things to look for in a business valuation report, which you will see. This is a very simple one. If you have any, which now I'm exactly at 11:40, so I'm going to let that go. If there are any questions, I guess we're going to break for lunch now. Yeah, one.
I was going to make a comment. Another way to find out if they have a 401k plan is on your W-2, line 13. Sometimes they may not mention the retirement plan coming through, but that's a place to look and see.
You mean like this one right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plan box check.
Yeah, retirement plan, and also you can always tell, the telltale sign is the difference between box 1 and box 5. This is how you get a deduction for a 401k, is they don't include it in the income. So this guy's got a $5,000 deduction to the IRA and his W-2. So thank you for pointing that out. And I'll be around at lunch if you have any more questions.